Okay, today is all about opening the front body, the anterior sheath. And just a cushion, probably blanket would be good. Maybe instead, if you don't have a cushion, we'll begin lying on our backs in Shavasana. And sense the imprint your body makes in the floor. Notice, as usual, how gravity moves through you. Notice what you notice. Let yourself be breathed. And now from here, just roll to lie on your belly. So you can position your arms and your head however you like. Head down. As passive as you can be, just like how we always begin in Shavasana. We've just flipped ourselves like a pancake. And let's scan our body starting at the feet. So notice how your feet are oriented or how you organize them so they can be easy, at ease. Notice how the knees contact the floor. Sense your hips. Says legs connecting to pelvis is the hip joints. Notice if you feel like you're a little heavier or tipped off to one hip. Notice how you've positioned your arms and your hands and how they make contact with the floor. Awareness traveling up to the head, noticing how the head connects to the floor and any sensations in and around the head itself. Bring your awareness to your breath. You might feel breath meeting the floor through the front body. Notice any sensation of breath in the back body. No. And now from here, let's open the arms out wide to a T with the palms facing down and turn your head to either side. And see if you can walk your arms a little farther away from you. They're not really gonna move, right? But we're just kind of creeping the fingertips a little further away, letting the shoulders be heavy and relaxed. Noticing sensation, maybe particularly through the neck here. And then just turn the head so it's the other way. So turning the other cheek to rest. Again, relaxing through the shoulders a little bit more if you can. Hands are relaxed. Feeling sensation, noticing sensation wherever you feel it. And now from here, let's just bring the ankles together or as close as you can get them and squeeze the ankles together. Let's do that on a breath in if you want to coordinate movement with breath. So squeezing the ankles in together on the inhale and then exhale, just let it go. You could do it opposite, of course. Let's do that a couple more times. So as you squeeze the ankles together, notice. And then when you release that work, let the heels kind of splay out to the side and the big toes be touching or close together. Okay, one more time. We're gonna inhale, squeeze the elbow, the ankles together, and let's hold the inhale and hold the squeezing for a moment at the top. And then exhale, letting the breath go, letting the ankles go. And now we're gonna add we're gonna do a few more times. We're gonna add some more engagement. So inhaling, squeeze the inner ankles together and also squeeze the knees together. And with your exhale, just let the legs be passive. One more time. Inhaling, squeeze the ankles, squeeze the inner knees, and squeeze the inner thighs toward each other. And then exhale, let it go. Let's turn the head in the opposite direction. And then we're just going to repeat that a few more times. So inhaling, squeeze the ankles together. And exhale, relax. Inhale, squeeze the ankles and the inner knees together. And your exhale, release. Breathing in, squeeze the inner ankles, inner knees, inner thighs together. Your exhale, let it go. Couple more times, building on a little bit more. So inhale, ankles, inner knees, inner thighs, and now buttocks squeezing. And releasing. One more time, and we might hold at the end range just for a little bit. So inhaling, squeeze the ankles, knees, inner thighs, buttocks, and try to reach your tailbone down toward your feet. And then let it all go. Turn the head one more time and just take a couple breaths here, not doing anything. Okay, we're staying prone, so we're staying belly down and coming up into the classic Sphinx pose shape. So elbows are directly beneath the shoulders, or they could be a little bit forward of the shoulders, but we don't want them behind the shoulders. So stack if you can. And if you can have your hands shoulder width apart, do that. And now let's work with the shoulder blades a little bit. So let's draw the shoulder blades down the back. You can press the elbows into the floor, the elbows, the forearms, the hands to help that happen. And then let it go to any degree and feel how the shoulders rise up toward the ears. Try that a couple more times on your own, drawing the shoulder blades down the back so the shoulders move away from the ears. And then let it go so you can feel the movement of the shoulder blades on the back. One more time. Two more times, actually. We're going to hold on the last time. So drawing the shoulder blades down, it's called depression. And then when the shoulder blades glide up, it's elevation. And this last one, when you come into the depression, so shoulder blades down the back, hold. You're gonna hold the breath too, if you like, if you've been coordinating movement with breath. And then let it go. I lied, we're gonna go one more time. We're gonna hold the shoulder blades down the back. And we're gonna try to bring, so the feet, you might feel like jammed in the sacrum, so you just do what you can. So we're gonna bring the ankles as close together as possible. For some of you, it won't be any problem to bring them together. For others, it'll feel kind of like jamming in the back. So if you're able, we're still keeping the shoulder blades down the back, and now we're squeezing the ankles, inner knees, inner thighs, all the way to the lower buttocks. And imagine you could orient or point your tailbone more toward your feet. So all that engagement should help the back feel more protected and more supported. If you're still feeling compression in the lower back, notice if the ribs are really popping forward, and you can bring them in toward the back body a little bit more, and then it'll create a more even arc through the spine. Let's hold this for a couple more breaths. So not holding the breath, just holding the shoulder blade movement down the back, and the inner ankles, inner knees, inner thighs, and buttocks all engaging, tailbone reaching toward the feet. That changes the orientation of the pelvis a little bit, yeah? Should feel like, I mean, for me, it feels like quite a bit of work. And then release, bring your hands beneath your shoulders, and let's touch into child's pose. Hips back toward the heels. Knees can be as wide or narrow as you would like. Breathe, especially into the back body. Okay, coming back onto your belly. And back into your Sphinx shape. So if you're getting back compression, or if you want to just make it a little bit less intense, here's where you could place either a folded blanket or a cushion underneath. It's like underneath the hips and more the belly, depending on the size of your cushion. So I don't want it like hips and thighs, because that's going to increase the arch in the back. I want it more hips, and if there's extra cushion, hips and lower abdominals. Okay, so elbows are beneath the shoulders, and hands still shoulder width apart. This time, let's bring the legs out wide. Not like as wide as you can go, but maybe about as wide as your mat or thereabouts. So now we'll keep the shoulder blades down the back, and no need to look all the way forward and crunch your neck. So a little tuck of the chin, so your neck feels spacious in the back. Okay, so legs are wide here. Bend your knees so the feet are airborne, and bring the soles of your feet together. Okay, and then let's do windshield wipers, and we'll do them both ways. So you can start by sending both feet over one way, so the feet aren't going to stay together, and then send the feet the other way. And we do this all the time on our backs. Make sure you're keeping your shoulder blades down the back. It's easy to get lazy there. Notice how far the legs are going on one side and then the other, just to train awareness to be here. So that inner foot might get all the way to the ground, it might not. That's your external rotation. And the outer foot might feel like it's not really going anywhere, or different on the two sides. And then let's switch it. So the feet move in toward each other. You'll have to cross one shin on top of the other, and then feet away from each other. And switch which shin is on top each time you wipe the windshield. And we're going slow. ish at least, so we can experiment with what is the actual end range. Often when we go fast, we don't get there. So if you go slow, you might feel like, oh, I can actually go a little bit further than I thought. 1 or 2 more times. Noticing where you feel the sensation. For me, it's a lot in the outer hips. Shoulders may be getting a little bit tired. And then we'll bring the feet back into the air so the knees are still bent. And then soles of the feet together and just kind of clap your feet. Clap, clap, clap. A few more times. And then keep the soles of the feet together. And imagine you've got a paintbrush you're holding between your feet. So the feet are going to stay together, otherwise you'll drop the paintbrush. And we're going to try to draw circles with the paintbrush on the wall behind you. So you're going to have to move through your ankles, at least I do, otherwise I'm not getting much movement. And it might not be a circle, it might be some interesting shape. Of course, the legs can be moving. Your feet might be cramping. Draw the circle in the other direction. If you're cramping, you can squeeze and release and just kind of shake it out. And then see if you can draw a figure 8. The cramping is usually confusion in the body. Try to draw the figure 8 in the other direction. And then back to center, we'll keep the feet together. We can leave that paintbrush idea, but keep the feet together and see how low you can get them to the ground. Maybe nowhere near, maybe all the way down. Now let's bring them back up. And let's do that one more time. Be sure the shoulder blades are down the back, that you're not slumping at all. So feet are together, go slow, lowering the feet down toward the ground. And then the feet can slide apart and rest. And we'll bring hands beneath the shoulders and press back into child's pose again. And let's change our setting here. So we don't want to do it the same way every single time. So if you have a default knee setting, do it a little different. And same with the arms. If you have a default arm setting, see if you can do it a little bit different. We want the body to be able to move in all of its zones, not just this one limited range. Be with your breath. Coming back onto your belly. Bringing your forehead to the mat. And hands, we're setting up as if to do cobra. So hands alongside the shoulders or the armpits. Spread the fingers, but then just let the hands be passive. So they're staying connected to the ground, not so passive that like you're losing your connection, but we're not going to press down at all. So just a kind of medium intensity grounding through the hands, or maybe it's more of like an awareness and attention of how you're placing your hands. Forehead on the ground. And then from here, we're gonna just work a little bit basically with the head here mostly. So we're gonna keep the head relatively heavy And we're gonna slide from the forehead to the nose to the chin, all on the ground. And then slide back, chin, nose, forehead. Try that a couple more times. So it's really just a little nod of the head, keeping it on or as close to the ground as you can as you slide from the forehead to the chin, and then back again. So it's a yes nod, and now that you get the idea, go a few more times and see what your safest, greatest range of motion is. So we're allowing the neck to flex and back. And then maybe even coming a little bit more toward the hairline. Next time you bring your forehead to the ground, let it stay there. Open your arms out to a T again. Walk your fingers a little bit away from you, and then let the shoulders relax. Notice how your feet are connecting to the floor. Sense your knees, your hips. Your arms and hands, your head, and breath, especially in the back body. Okay, from here, we're going to keep the hands on the ground, but slide them toward you until they're underneath the elbows. So elbows are out wide. Right elbows pointing out to the right, left elbows pointing out to the left. It's probably a little bit weird. If you missed it, the hands stay on the ground and just sliding them in until they're underneath the elbows. And it's a good idea to take a look just so you make sure that they're actually underneath the elbows. So the wrists basically are underneath the elbows and the fingers are pointing out away from each other. And let's just rotate the hands so they point in toward each other. So I have this wide like window underneath my arms with a 90-degree bend or thereabouts at the elbows. Just do the best you can. It's different. Okay, you can keep your head down here, everybody, and then keep the hand pretty much on the floor and let one elbow come forward. So I could like really lose contact with the thumb and get the elbow further forward, but let's start a little more within this limited range, alternating. So hand mostly staying on the ground, elbow kind of just moving or swinging forward a little bit. The shoulder will move, let that happen. So you might feel this in your hand, in your wrist, in your armpit. So when the elbow comes forward, feel how the shoulder rolls forward. Let that happen. And now we're starting to add a rotation of the head. So from the forehead, roll your head to look toward the elbow that's shifting forward. You can pick it up a little bit if you want, that's fine. We're gonna pick up the head in a moment anyway. And you can let the thumb start to leave the ground a little bit to find a little more range, maybe a little more sensation. Try that a few more times, the elbows swinging forward. And now we're gonna actually pick up the head, continue the movement with the arms, lift your head and look underneath the arm as the elbow moves forward. Looking underneath the arm in that window that the arm creates. One more time each side. And then once you're back to center, let's slide the arms wide to the T, and you can rest either cheek or your forehead, just resting here for a little bit. Maybe noticing tingling or something, sensation through the hands or the wrists. Feeling breath and back body. Okay, we're coming into that same position with the arms. So slide your hands toward you until wrists are underneath the elbows. And then rotate fingers to point in toward you. And we've got about a 90-degree angle with the elbows. Now we'll keep the head down and we're gonna slide the head to look more down toward one foot. You can just keep your hands and your arms still for now. So when I'm looking down, I can't actually see my right foot, but that means I'm on the left side of my temple and I'm moving my head, sliding it along the ground to get as close of a look as I can, so to speak. And then try that on the other side. So you have to lift the head a little bit to turn it in the other direction, and then slide the head toward the window that your arms make. You might feel a nice stretch for the neck here. Let's go one more time with just the head, getting feel for that movement exploration. And then we'll add same side knee sliding toward the head. So as the head slides toward the window, your arm makes, the same side knee slides along the floor toward your head. And then legs slide straight, and we come to the other side. Stay as heavy as you can, working with gravity. Let's go about one more time each side. You can certainly adjust your hands if your wrists are unhappy here. It's a pretty big stretch for the wrists. And then after second side, whenever it is for you, slide your arms back to the T, rest your head however you like. Let's rest here. Breath is in the foreground of awareness. Okay, we're coming one more time back to the same lizard-like shape. So hands slide toward you till they're underneath the elbows. And then if you're able, rotate fingers to point in toward each other. Okay, and now we'll lift the head. So as you slide your right knee toward you, look over your right shoulder toward your oncoming knee. So I'm pushing up a little bit, and then as the leg slides back straight, I can bring the head down a bit, or you can keep it up. So as the knee slides toward you, push your hands into the ground so you can look over the arm rather than under it. So I'm getting straighter arms, maybe straight for some of you. It's just going to depend on, all the factors, mobility and proportions. One more time each side. After your second side, whenever that is for you, legs straight, arms out wide to the T, head comfortable on the ground. Okay, coming back into Sphinx pose with a slight variation here. So elbows beneath your shoulders. And this time let's interlace the fingers. Draw the shoulder blades down the back and maintain that placement of your scapula. And now just the head, look over one shoulder toward the foot, or down toward your legs, and then look over the other shoulder. So if you feel like you want more stability or to work more, you can have all that engagement we did before, from inner ankles to inner knees. You know, the legs don't have to be together to have that hugging in action. Inner ankles, inner knees, thighs, buttocks, tailbone. And now as you look over right shoulder, slide right knee toward you. Then slide the leg straight. As you look over left shoulder, slide left knee toward you. And then back to center. A couple more times each side. Keep driving the elbows into the ground. Good. So from here, after your second side, maybe just stack hands, rest forehead on hands, or if you like the arms out wide to a T, that's fine too. Relax the shoulders, let everything go here. Coming back up into Sphinx pose with hands shoulder width apart if available. Bend the knees. If you can bring knees and ankles together or relatively close, go for that. Shoulder blades down the back. And then we're lowering the feet side to side. So we're going to let the hips lift to help the feet go over to one side and then the other. Side to side. Going to exaggerate that lift of the hips to help the movement. Finding your pain-free range of motion. It's a pretty big rotation. It's a pretty big twist. Let's add rotation of the head. So legs go one way, look over the opposite shoulder. So as the legs, knees drop, feet drop over to your left, say, we look over the right shoulder. As the feet drop over, looking over the opposite shoulder. And you're gonna kind of sink a little into the shoulders, but just try not to like surrender to that too much. Okay, the next time the feet drop over to your left, let's pause and meet there. Just so we can get this sense on the same side. And now we're going to send that top leg further back behind you. Good, and then from here, back to center. rock the feet to one side, and then let that top leg come further back behind you. So as I drop the feet to the left and then reach my right foot further back, I can start to lift off of my right arm. And then back through the Sphinx shape. Let your feet drop to the right, left leg reaching further back, and left hand not really connected to the floor anymore. Side to side. And then last thing here in this sequence, drop the feet to one side, let that top foot come further back, and push the hands down to come up to sit. We're in this kind of pinwheel shape, yeah, that we did quite a bit of last week. Rewind. See if you can find a bit of flow action, right? We do all the elements and then put it all together and make it kind of fluid. Yeah. That's it. So once that leg goes back behind you, you can come all the way up to that pinwheel shape. And we'll just go one or two more times. Come all the way up off of the hands if you would like. And then after your second side, releasing onto your belly, position your arms and your hands however you want to rest. Open the arms out wide to a T. Once again, palms down, forehead down, though you might end up rolling on the forehead. So people call this scorpion. We'll keep the right leg straight and lift it off the ground. And then start to rock onto your left side. So right hip leaves the ground. Go as far as you can. Try not to bend your elbow or move your hand. Keep it where it is. And then when you can't go any further, let that knee bend and see if you can tap the floor with your right foot. And then rewind. Lifting left leg straight. Hip lifts. You roll to your right hip. Keep reaching your straight leg back behind you. And when you can't go any further, bend the knee and tap the foot. Let's go two more times each side. Once you bend the knee, we're aiming the foot in the direction of the hand. And then after your second side, bring your hands beneath your shoulders and press back to child's pose. Again, change slightly your setup so it's different than the first two times we've done child's pose. Okay, rising up onto your knees. That's it for the belly down work. So we're up on the knees. This is called tall kneeling. If you're, depending on where you do movement. And please make sure you've got enough padding for your knees. We'll be here for a little bit. So you can fold up your blanket or grab a cushion. Okay, and from here, yeah, take your time setting up so you feel comfortable. And you can have your toes untucked or tucked, up to you. I'm just gonna come up here. And knees are about hip width apart, everybody. You can go a little bit wider, but I wouldn't go narrower. Let's just have hands on hips for now. And without actually, there's not gonna actually be much movement, but hug your thighs in toward each other. So you don't have to bring them all the way together. Keep them hip width apart, but imagine you had a block between your thighs and squeeze inward. And then let that go for a moment. Notice how the pelvis probably shifts a little bit. And now bring your hands to your outer hips and push in with your hands. Pushing in with your hands. And then let that effort go. Once again, push in with your hands, but now I'm at like with a dragging down action. So I'm not actually moving my hand, but it's an in and down kind of approach. Hands pressing the hips. There's various ways. So you could go more on the thighs, less on your hips, but in and down a little bit. I like kind of more up personally, but there's lots of room for variability here. So in and down, and let's add that engagement of the inner thighs. And let's add that engagement of the buttocks and the tailbone reaching down toward the floor. And even ankles and knees. So you could just try that without bringing them together. Hug them isometrically toward each other. So a lot of work. Hold that for a couple more breaths. And then release. Okay, now we're bringing the hands to the, let's bring one hand to the pelvis and one to the sacrum. And it'll be this kind of action where the front hand is moving up and the back hand is moving down. But again, I'm not actually going to move my hands much, but I'm trying to kind of coax the tailbone down and the front of the pelvis up. So you can do kind of like a brushing action if that makes more sense to you, or just like a little in and up or down action. And see how that helps the tailbone drop down. And you can even engage the glutes to help make that happen. Okay, and then if it's helpful for you to keep your hands on your hips or your sacrum and pelvis, you can, or you can just keep them on your hips. But definitely squeeze the glutes and the inner thighs. And now nothing's going to change in my spine. So I'm not arching or rounding at all at this point. I'm just hinging from the knees, back and forward. You can always adjust your toes tucked under or not, but definitely want to be squeezing the heck out of the glutes and reaching the tailbone down. So you should be feeling this in your quads. You can keep the chin slightly tucked. Let's go a couple more times, maybe increasing your range Try not to change the tilt of your pelvis at all. Keep it tucked under. Last one. And then hips to the heels, child's pose. Change again if you can, right? There's like so much room for variability here. Slight change in the shape of your child's pose. Back body breathing. Coming back up to our tall kneeling position with a hand on the lower sides of the back now. Try to have your fingers pointing down. If tops of the feet are on the ground, press them down. Engage your glutes, send your tailbone down, and then squeeze your elbows in toward each other. Squeeze, 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 elbows in, and then let that go. So feel what's happening in the shoulder blades. Shoulder blades moving toward the spine as you squeeze the elbows together. One more time, make sure the shoulder blades are staying down. Elbows squeezing in. Tailbone down. And then just a little shift of the hips forward. Right, so we did this forward and back. So just send them a little bit forward, keeping your tailbone tucked under. Now we're going to take one hand and slide it down the back of the thigh toward the back of the knee, and then bring it back up. Let's keep the head forward and centered for now, alternating. So we're sliding one hand down, just however far you comfortably can, and then back up. A couple more times each side. Let's start to add movement of the head. So now look at the hand as it slides down toward the knee. Keep pressing shins down, squeezing buttocks, looking at the hand as it slides down to the knee or toward the knee. And if you feel like you could go further, you could slide the hand down to the knee and then back to the foot and then slide it back up. Sliding it down toward the knee, maybe back to the foot, squeezing the glutes the whole time. And then one more variation here to possibly explore. We slide the hand down, we watch it go, we slide it down toward the foot, and we reach the other arm up toward the ceiling. And then not only are you sliding the hand back up, but reaching with the upper arm to help you come back up. And then switch. So hand sliding down, watching the hand. Once the hand's getting toward the foot or your end range, you can reach the opposite arm up, up, up. Hips are gently pushing forward. And then reach like you've got a hook there you can grab onto to bring you back to upright. A couple more times each side. You can start to make it a little bit more fluid. One more time each side. We'll pause. Whenever it fits into your flow, pause on the one side and look up toward the overhead hand. And then look back down. And then rewind. Same thing, other side. Finding your expression of this camel-like shape. Reaching the top arm up, look up. Keep engaging the glutes, look down. And then rise up. And whenever you feel complete with that, touching back into child's pose. Change just a little bit your expression. Okay, when you're ready, everybody, you can take your blanket off of your mat so you've got some grip. Excuse me. Let's come into downward facing dog. Maybe pedal out your feet. Lower down onto your knees. Step your left foot forward. Let's start with right knee directly underneath the right hip. Rising up. Front foot dragging back without actually moving. Back glute engaged. Arms might stretch up. Bring your hands down. Step switch. Right foot forward. Left knee directly beneath the left hip. Front foot gripping into the mat with this kind of backward energy. Back glute squeezing. Maybe extending up through the arms. Hands plant. Let's press back, downward facing dog. Try setting your feet slightly differently, a little wider or a little narrower. Lower the knees down to the ground. Left foot forward. You can keep your back knee where it is. If it's a little longer, that's okay. Hands to the thigh. I still like to have this engagement of the front foot dragging back and the back glute engaged. And then shifting forward. So everything is staying the same. It's really just a deepening of this hip crease. So try not to hinge by bringing the torso forward. Maybe that was a bad cue. Good, one more time. And then hands touch down so you can step to switch. Hands to the thigh. Take your time, shifting forward, shifting back. Try to keep the torso just going along for the ride, but the hips driving the movement. Plant your hands, step back, down dog, change your foot placement again, wider or narrower than your default. Lower the knees down to the ground. Left foot forward. And this time, let's straighten or straighter the front leg. So you can do that either by walking the foot forward to keep more of this stack, or by shifting the hips back. So you get to decide which way you're going to do that. I mean, you get to decide how you're going to do everything, but we can still get this scissoring action, right? So let's not let this right hip sink back relative to the left hip, whatever position you're in. So left hip drawing back and right hip drawing forward. And the front leg is straight or relatively straight, folding over the front leg or over, folding forward. Let's squeeze the left quad, that front leg. Keep sending your chest forward. This is where blocks could help if you have to round here in order to get your hands down. And head in line with the rest of the spine. Shoulder blades down the back. And now let's just add a point and flex of this left foot. Keep the leg basically where it is. Pull the toes back toward the knee. And then point the foot. Try to bring the sole of the foot toward the ground. Keep reaching chest forward. Make sure your head's in line with the rest of your spine. So I'm not looking back at my legs. A little bit, maybe toward the front edge of your mat. One more time, point and flex. And then let's just step switch here. So right leg is forward. Straightening the front leg, either by sliding the foot out in front of you or by shifting the hips back. Be sure you've got that scissoring action in your hips. So the right hip drags back, the front hip, and the back hip moves forward. Back of the head up toward the ceiling, chest forward. So no rounding in the upper back, everybody. Squeeze your right quad. Now let's add that point and flex of this front foot. Really bring the toes toward the knee and then point and try to bring the sole of the foot toward the ground. One more time. Point and flex. Bring your leg back, press back, downward facing dog. Try turning the toes in a little bit, little pigeon toe. Lower the knees down. Last round of lunge variation, I think. We're gonna set left foot forward, right knee beneath the right hip. And then this is like a knee down side angle. So left hand stays, let's have left hand down, either on the ground or a block. And let's bring right fingertips to right temple. Keep your hip, your pelvis where it is, and rotate through your spine. So kind of not yet like our side angle. Let's try that a couple more times. Rotating through the spine. You don't have to restrict the hips, but just notice what's happening through the pelvis. So opening and closing. And then the next time you open, really drawing that elbow back, you could stretch the arm up toward the ceiling. Let's lean a little into the left hand. Make sure left shoulder blade is down the back. And let's look up toward the top hand. And then down toward your left foot. A couple more times. Looking up, don't let the head come forward. So it should be in line with your sternum, not in front of your chest. Look up, look down. And then the next time you look down, bring the hand down and step switch so right foot is in front. Right hand on or a block. Could be inside or outside the front foot. Left fingertips to left temple. Opening up. And then unwinding. I feel like two different people here. Wow. Couple more times. This next time you open up, maybe extend the arm up, turn through your chest, and then work a little with the gaze. So lean a little more into the right hand and move the shoulder down, and then rotate head to look up toward that upper hand, and then down toward your front foot. Next time you look down, bring the hand down and step back, downward facing dog. Try turning the feet out a little bit this time. Okay, from here, let's either walk the feet forward or the hands back. And let's bring hands to hips. And just like we did in tall kneeling in that camel prep, shoulder, elbows toward each other. Squeeze, 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 elbows toward each other. Bend your knees a bit, push the floor away. Stand, come all the way up to stand, mountain pose. And just let your arms go. Spread your toes. Feel your breath. Okay, let's take a wide stance for side angle. So we'll go left side first, left toes point forward. And for today, let's do forearm on thigh. So you can bend left knee and then just hinge at the hips, yeah? So the torso just folds over the front leg, forearm to the thigh, knee is stacked over the ankle. Right hand just to the hip for now. Hug your feet in toward each other as if you could wrinkle them out between them and squeeze your glutes, but especially this right glute, your back glute. Make sure your ribs aren't popping forward and your head isn't dumping forward. So the pelvis and the chest and the head are all on the same plane. You can start to turn up toward the ceiling a little bit and maybe extend the arm up. Let's look up. Draw the left shoulder blade down away from the ear. Reach through the top arm like you got that sky hook. So reach as you push the floor away with your feet to rise up. And then release the arm down and let's just pivot the feet for the second side. Bending the knee until it's over the ankle. Forearm to the thigh with the palm facing up. And for now, just your top hand on your hip. Hug your feet in toward each other so you could wrinkle the mat. And squeeze your back glute. Bring your rib cage in line with your pelvis. And be sure your head's not forward or your sternum. So back of the head moving back. You can turn your chest up toward the ceiling a little bit. Maybe reach the arm up. And let's look up. Right shoulder blade down away from the ear. Reach through the top arm to help you rise up. And then release the arm. And let's bring the feet underneath the frame, coming back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Brush your spine with breath. Okay, I lied. Does everybody have a block handy they could use? Just one block for revolve triangle. Okay, so let's start with the left foot forward. Bringing that right hip forward so it's in line with the left, not behind the left. And then we'll bring the block down. It can go underneath, it can go anywhere from underneath your right shoulder to outside of your left foot. So more rotation, but harder to balance with the block outside of the foot. And then just have the block placed and then let's come back up. So keep the left hand on the left hip and reach the right arm up. And use your left hand to help guide the left hip back as you hinge the hips. You can even kind of angle a little bit over your left leg. Reaching, reaching, reaching. When the spine is parallel to the floor, just bring your hand down. Move the block to a higher setting if the hand doesn't get there. Okay, let's try hugging the thighs in toward each other, like you have a block between them. And then lean your torso back. So we're rotating the chest to the ceiling and at the same time kind of leaning the torso back so it's a little bit more in line with the right leg if possible. Your back leg. Turning through your belly. You can even use your left hand to help kind of coax the ribs to rotate. Notice the pelvis hopefully didn't move. And then maybe extending up through your arm. Keep squeezing your thighs together. Let's look down. Check that your rib cage is in line with your pelvis, not spilling toward the floor. Unwind your spine. And step your back foot forward. Second side here, right foot forward. Position your block where you think you'll want it. Bring your left hip forward or your right hip back so that they're in the same line. Right hand to right hip, left arm reaching up. Use your right hand to help coax your right hip back as you hinge. And you can hinge a little bit more over your front leg. Once your spine is parallel to the floor, bring your hand down and adjust your block if you can't reach it. Bring the floor to you rather than compromising your alignment to get to where you think you should be. Okay, so from here, we're going to keep the pelvis quiet. We're rotating through the ribs and at the same time, kind of leaning back a little bit more in line with the back leg if you can. Then maybe extending through your right arm. And let's look down. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Ribs in line with the pelvis. Unwind your spine. This time we'll step back to our last downward facing dog. Go a little longer or shorter than you normally would in your down dog. Not a lot, just a little bit. A little different. Lower your knees down. Coming into child's pose. If you can vary it a little bit again, please do so. And then we'll come onto our backs. Let's plant the feet wide, wider than hips, and take arms out to a T. And windshield wiper side to side. Next time legs drop over to the left, meet me there. Let the left leg fully release down. Option to walk the right foot further to the right. So like just off the cliff edge of your mat. Okay, and then push. You can push the whole bottom of the foot or the inner edge of the foot into the ground and reach the right knee away from you. Sometimes that walking of the foot further aggravates the knee. You could also try flexing the foot and squeezing right glute, right arm reaching alongside the ear. Breathe into right upper back, right ribs. Okay, if you walked your foot off, bring it back onto the mat. Right arm back to the T. Drop the knees over to the right. Right leg completely passive. Maybe left foot walking a little bit more to the left off the edge of your mat. You can push the inner edge of the foot into the floor, flexing the foot maybe. Left arm alongside the ear. Squeeze left glute and find the stretch. Walk the foot back if it moved. Left arm back to the T. Bring the legs back up to center. And then let's use that block you didn't need one more time. So we're going to place it on a low, wide setting underneath the sacrum in a supported bridge. And if you're up for it, straighten your legs with your heels on the ground. Toes point up. If it's too much, but you like the idea, you can do a blanket instead of the block. Maybe taking hands to the elbows up around the head. Squeezing the glutes will help to support the back. You could just be passive here, of course, but some of us need a little extra support. So if you want to be more active here, squeezing the glutes, pushing through the heels, reaching through the elbows. And we've got the block on the low setting, so see if you can bring the ribs down. A lot of times we have back pain in back bends because we're creating the back bend only in one part of the spine, but we want it to be in all of the spine, not just the lumbar where it's most easy to do. Make it more about your breath. Breathe into the back ribs. Okay, if you straighten the legs, let's plant the feet again. Let's bring the arms down alongside the body. And then root through your feet to lift the pelvis. Slide the block out and try to articulate one spine at a time, coming down. Making your way into Shavasana. Coming back into the river of breath. Reawakening your body with some movement. And eventually rising up to a seat. Let's take a breath in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you.